fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky,
What superheroes might look like in a whole new world? Well, DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn dropped a hint about rebooting DC superheroes for a fresh cinematic universe. Fans and media are reacting in all sorts of ways, from total confusion to straight-up anger. The new DC universe coming in 2024 is like a fresh start where old movies and shows don't count anymore. But don't worry, you'll still see some of your favorite heroes. These new movies will tell their own stories without worrying about big team-ups or connecting everything. It's all pretty new, so we don't know much about what's coming later. Seems like there's always drama in DC movies. Lately, anything James Gunn says gets people mad, even if it's just about the sky being blue. It's kind of ridiculous, but we shouldn't ignore it. The fuss over Gunn's recent comments is getting out of hand, and we need to talk about it. Here's the deal. DC is starting fresh with new actors playing superheroes, but some old actors will still come back as different versions of the same characters. Why? Because they fit into DC's future plans, and James Gunn likes how they've already played those characters. So, same actors, different versions of characters. Think of it like this. Just like when comics start fresh, the DC movies are starting from scratch too. There's no backstory yet because the new universe hasn't been set up. It's like when comics reboot and we don't know every little detail right away. Some stories stick around while others get completely wiped out. We're just gonna have to wait and see what stays the same and what changes. The new version might look different and have some new stuff added to it. If it makes sense and you don't need to do any extra research, it's probably okay. We'll find out once it's out there. Ever heard of a superhero with polka dots? Well, thanks to the DCU reboot, quirky characters like Polka Dot Man might just make a comeback on screen. James Gunn made him shine in the Suicide Squad movie, but even if Polka Dot Man doesn't come back, David Dastmalchian has skills that could land him other cool roles in the DCU. In the DC universe, some actors like Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill might not return due to the reboot, but there's hope for lesser-known heroes like Polka Dot Man to come back. The DCU will introduce new actors and characters, with David Corenswet playing Superman in a movie coming out in 2025. James Gunn said more unknown heroes will later join movies, and he's good at making them shine. James Gunn became famous for his work on Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. Even though the Suicide Squad had many unknown characters, it's one of the top-rated movies. Gunn made them popular with fans in just one movie. One standout was Polka Dot Man, played by David Dastmalchian. He has a strange power and fans loved him, but his time in the movie was too short. In the Suicide Squad, a new team called Task Force X fought against Starro the Destroyer. During this battle, Polka Dot Man, a troubled character with powers given by his abusive mother, found peace after helping defeat Starro with his polka dots. Just when he declared himself a real superhero, he was sadly crushed by one of Starro's limbs. Polka Dot Man's death hit hard because people liked him and he grew as a character. But in the new DC universe, deaths like this can be undone. James Gunn said some DCU characters will come back, but the old DC events won't count. Instead, the new DCU will choose what to keep from the old movies. Peacemaker Season 2 is doing the same thing, using the past but not making it official. So, there's a good chance Polka Dot Man could return. David Dastmalchian has been in superhero movies like in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He's a great actor, and his latest role in Late Night with the Devil got a lot of praise. If possible, he could play another character in the DC universe like Scarecrow, which he's interested in. Every time they try something new and it doesn't work right away, they change direction again. It's like a cycle that keeps repeating, especially when new Warner Brothers executives take over. This time, the changes seem different, but it's tough to be hopeful for a company that's had trouble for a long time. Even if things start to improve with this new plan, what if Warner Brothers gets involved in another big merger? What if the rumors about Comcast buying Warner Brothers are true? Will the new bosses still care about the DC universe as much? He's probably the one with the most promise. With strong beliefs and being more relatable than other DC characters, Vic Sage really needs a comeback. Even though readers like him and he's had some good stories, DC Comics hasn't paid much attention to the question. Some controversial choices made things worse and stopped him from getting popular. But now, with James Gunn possibly making a movie about him, DC should finally give the question the attention he deserves. People often say heroes like Batman and Green Arrow are realistic because they don't have superpowers, but Batman's stories sometimes get pretty wild, and he's a billionaire with lots of fancy gadgets. He's good at fighting and investigating, but he's completely human and doesn't have any special powers or gadgets except for a mask that hides his face when he becomes the Question. The idea that the Question is a realistic character was shown well in Denny O'Quill's comics in the late 80s. Just like Green Arrow's stories by Mike Grell, the Question faced regular enemies in a way that seemed real. During that time, the Question and sometimes Batman were the only DC comics to have stories with Green Arrow, which showed how different and grounded the Question's adventures were. This made him similar to Ditko's Mr. 8 character, but more mainstream. Sage strongly believes in right and wrong. Later, writers like Denny O'Neil and Rick Veitch added mysticism to his character. In cartoons like Justice League Unlimited, he's shown as someone who uncovers big secrets that affect regular people. But DC Comics hasn't done much with this interesting aspect of his character yet. In DC, Batman is the top street-level hero, unlike Marvel, where there are heroes like Daredevil and the Punisher. DC mainly focuses on Batman, ignoring other characters. The Question is a good example of this. In the Series 52, they replaced Vic Sage with Renee Montoya, who's linked to Batman. The new 52 changed the Question a lot by making him part of the Trinity of Sin, which made him a mystical and confusing character. His face and memory were erased because of his sins against humanity. In recent years, the DCU has struggled. Man of Steel had its problems, Wonder Woman showed potential but stumbled in the end, and many other movies faced criticism or didn't do well at the box office. The latest flop was Blue Beetle, losing around $100 million. James Gunn, known for his work on Guardians of the Galaxy, is now in charge of rebuilding the DCEU. The biggest challenge for the rebooted DCU is avoiding the same old stories with the same characters. We all understand repeating things like playing video games or listening to music, but people won't want to see Batman's parents killed or Superman leaving Krypton again and again. So what are your thoughts regarding this? Do let us know in the comment section below, and also don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, see you all!